time over here now.
America's First News with Gordon Deal and the Fox News Rundown.
You learn about so many different things. I'm in touch with everything that's going on.
There's actually intriguing talk.
Weekday mornings 5 to 9. News Talk 1040 Tampa Bay. News and talk you can depend on.
Fox Across America with Jimmy Failla. Fired up to talk to this next guest who is out on the West Coast right now. She's the host of the Kennedy Saves the World podcast. Right now, she's trying to save the Pacific Palisades from Gavin Newsom. Hey, girl.
Hey, Jim.
They played you on to Bobby Brown. It's my prerogative. And I only mention that because if you were here in studio, you're incapable of hearing a song like that. You probably were dancing wherever you are right now.
I am. It's almost an embarrassment of riches in the rhythm department. There are those who would argue, but I'm pretty confident in what I'm shaking this afternoon.
I believe you were the reason that Janet Jackson became a citizen in a rhythm nation. If that's not, I believe, right?
That's right.
Historically,
yeah, she had to succeed. It was because of me. I make no apologies.
She's got the old dual citizenship, as the kids say. Well, it is obviously a bad anniversary out there with Newsom. I saw him yesterday, and I just wanted to ask you this. The kids use the term cell phone. He was applauding himself on the fastest cleanup in history and the biggest cleanup in history. But isn't that an acknowledgement that he also presided over the biggest disaster in history?
First of all, it's not the biggest cleanup in history. There are tons of empty lots, burnt down, rubble, trees. There are more lots that have started to undergo the rebuilding process. Mm-hmm. It's shamefully inadequate considering where this community should be a year later. I mean, it's almost impossible to comprehend that it has in fact been a year. Mm-hmm. Two of my best friends who lost their homes, one of whom relocated to Manhattan Beach, and unfortunately her son was hit and killed by an alleged drunk driver last year. They're too heartbroken to be in the Palisades today. Uh-huh. And, I do have friends and neighbors who are gathering in the Palisades Village. That's where I'm headed in a few minutes to protest. There are a lot of signs in people's yards that say, they let us burn. Wow. That's the feeling. That's the mood. People are angry, but they're also activated. Like, there is a spirit of community and such an overwhelming sense of purpose to rebuild. Mm-hmm. And, they won't be told that their city is going to be taken from them, that their community won't exist again. They are hell-bent on bringing back, one of the very best communities that has existed in Los Angeles in a long time.
Yeah, amen. We're talking to Kennedy. She's out in the Pacific Palisades. I can attest to that with help from the local authorities who've showed up to a lot of our get-togethers out there over the years. It is just my favorite community in the world, and I can't imagine how you feel. I can't imagine what the people around you are going through on a day like today. But is in any way, shape, or form, are people acknowledging, I know, like you said, there's signs and there's the sense of community, but is it dawning on people that a lot of this really was a bad return on investment when it comes to the fact that you guys are the highest taxed people in the world, okay? And for all of the resources that should have been there, a lot of people watching from afar felt like the government didn't hold up its end of the bargain. Do people attribute... Yeah, go ahead.
That's the bargain that, we assume, at least the people who vote for this crap assume, which I didn't. I've never voted for these people, and I wouldn't because, did Karen Bass spend time in Cuba? Like, is she one of those people that despises private property, and does she think it shouldn't exist, and that's why her office had such a heartless and callous response to the people who were so desperate to rebuild? The very basic you can expect in a high taxation climate is public safety. And, part of that is the basic decency to put out a fire. And so people a year on are still wondering, how the hell were the fire hydrants dry?
Yep.
You know, how was that reservoir empty? And there's no excuse in the world that they can give people that they believe or that's acceptable. And, you know, we're also not buying, oh, yeah, you know, we've done such a bang-up job. Well, if they've done such a bang-up job, why is my house covered in soot after a year?
Yeah.
Why are people who've moved back in testing positive for lead and neurotoxins? Mm-hmm. It's because the insurance, like an insurance adjuster who never steps foot in the Palisades. Like, would you let your pregnant wife live in one of those homes? Would you let, you know, an elderly, immunocompromised relative live there? It's like, no, absolutely not. But they're incredibly heartless, and they're being shielded by the governor and the mayor of Los Angeles.
It's crazy. We're talking to Kennedy. She's out in the Pacific Palisades. And I think there's so many people who have a hard time trusting them on the go forward in terms of what their agenda is for redeveloping this land. Is that distrust there? Is that something that's prevalent also?
Yeah, and a lot of people, they just want to rebuild their own lot, their own home. And, you know, it's like they enter into pacts with their neighbors because they don't trust the government's going to do the right thing. When the government is going to sit there and do nothing and just let the whole place burn, like, why would you trust them to rebuild?
Yeah.
Why would you ever trust them with a plan that doesn't have your interest at heart at all?
No.
Like, God knows what they want to do with this place. But, you know, it's like people were pretty happy here beforehand. Yeah. And, you know, there are, you forget, like, the American West is built on a spirit of, dare I say, rugged individualism, where people kept pressing toward the ocean for the idea that they would create something out of the land that was their own. And, you know, that spirit is not going to be broken. It's super depressed. It's very resentful. But, you know, the one thing I'm getting from people is they want to press on, regardless of who is in power. And I hope to God that these idiotic boobs are out of office soon. Like, I'm disgusted that neither Bass nor Newsom resigned after this, especially Karen Bass.
Yeah.
I mean, she's just an absolutely shameful wretch of a person.
We're talking to Kennedy. People like her more if she just wouldn't hold back so much. I agree with you, though. It's so embarrassing to me as just a tax-paying American citizen to see the governor. And it's funny because the local leadership there, whether you're talking about at the state level, the Karen Bass level, like, they actually had an opportunity to lead. You know, as horrible as this is, like, we were in New York after the World Trade Center came down, and Rudy Giuliani at the time became the face of a rebound. He didn't just instantaneously decide he was going to run for president and all those other things. It seems like Gavin Newsom, you know, he'll pay lip service to what's going on there, but his priority seems to be national right now. Do people feel like,
Yeah, he is completely abandoned his state. You know, he can't shellac and excuse away the failures. He can't pretend that it's a success. Like, in terms of education, taxation, affordability, homelessness, like, it's off the charts in the worst possible direction for him. And, you know, the fact that he's trying to paint it as an American success story and a blueprint for the nation is absolutely laughable. He's a horrible, horrible person.
He's just the absolute worst. And that being said, if me and you are standing next to each other at a gambling window in Las Vegas right now, I would bet he's going to get the 2028 nomination for their party.
I think so. It's really interesting because he's really trying to start the issue in terms of running in 2028 because he's the early front runner. Yeah. But, you know, it's like, so is Rand Paul in 2015. And, you know, just because you're the early front runner, it actually gives you a much bigger target. Yeah. And there are a lot of people in the Democrat Party who govern purple states, who want to be president, who know that his brand of governance is not sellable on the national stage. Like, there's really no way for him to triangulate when the trail of failure that will follow him everywhere is wide and inescapable.
Now, this is funny because we were talking on your podcast a week ago, and I had an inkling you thought he might be able to do this, but you're basically telling me that all your donations to Tim Walz are going to pay off.
Now that is a great American. That is that's a real go-getter.
He's actually just going to run for president of Somalia. That's where the good action is. And why wouldn't you? And why he'd be on their Mount Rushmore if they were making one right now? He'd have to be. That is so.
Yeah, at this point, it's like that's his only avenue for a political future. And he's like, oh, well, maybe.
You know, it's funny.
I know a guy.
You know how we talk about like reading people in body language. So whoever's advising him, he had this press conference yesterday and he goes, if you've got fraudulent emails, go ahead and release them. But the fact that they specifically targeted the word emails was the tell to me, because that means they realize if they did do anything wrong, the culpability is not in that form of communication. It might be somewhere else. Might be a bank wire, might be a phone call. And when you hear a targeted method of communication that no one had brought up, doesn't that kind of tell you there's some strategery there?
Oh yeah, that's an absolute misdirection. And he's hoping that people. He's so incompetent.
Yes,
scary.
And
it's so funny because even though it should have been Biden, the first person that Kamala threw under the bus was Tim Walz. Mm-hmm. And she's trying to go like, well, I didn't really like him anyway, and he's kind of lame and weird. And it's like, bitch, you picked him. Like, you were the one running for president. Like, this is the first thing that you get to be the executive of is your presidential campaign.
Yep.
And it's a test to see how you govern. And it's like, you're second guessing yourself here.
Yeah.
Like, there's no committee you get to blame. Like, you don't get to blame the handlers for the most intimate pick of your entire campaign. Like, bro, that one's on you.
Amen.
And, it's like, it just goes to show that she doesn't know how to take responsibility.
Nope. But that might be
she doesn't know how to take anything but a shot of Rumpelmans.
the idea that she's drinking like a dated thing that we were drinking like in the 90s, like not Fireball, like fire water. Do you remember there was like, or Everclear? It was like 180 proof. I would love it if she's drinking late 90s intoxicants. That would make me probably like. But I think the silver lining then, maybe the go forward for you guys on a day like today, is that she's not going to be your next governor. So you got that going for you?
No, because she said the system was broken. That's why she couldn't do it. And it's like, lady, if the system is broken, isn't it incumbent upon you to fix it by governing better?
No.
It's just hysterical. Like hysterically tone deaf.
Amen.
And, it's like, and just in it for the raw power.
Oh, yeah.
Not even a public servant, like not even pretending to care or try.
No, that was my favorite Kamala when she was bragging about locking up potheads as an attorney general. And then when she ran, she's like, I love weed.
Yeah, I smoked all the time. Yeah, listening to Tupac. No, you didn't, you liar.
But to bring it, that is really where her ambition is. It's raw power, and she runs for things like governor and president because she needs the designated driver.
Yeah, exactly.
That's all this is. Well, good luck out there.
They're gonna have a bust of me because I was vice president. It's like, so is Spiro Agnew, and no one talks about him either.
You still got the fastball. Cross-country flights got nothing on you, K-Train.
That's right, Jim.
See you when you get back. Good luck today, pal.
You're the best. I'll report later, my friend.
You better. We'll see you. The great Kennedy. You know her. You love her. She's out in California. The only thing I'll add to our conversation, which is a little more measured than it might usually be, is, and I know her a long time. I can, detect even a hint of sadness in everything she's saying. And I think it's bigger than a hint. The Pacific Palisades is the nicest suburb in America, or at least it was at the time it was standing. And something Kennedy spoke to is the people who moved out there were some of the first generations to settle out there, to keep advancing American society towards that ocean. There was a great ambition to it. And the thing that made the Pacific Palisades incredible is like she bought her house there when she was really young, when she was working at MTV. So she didn't buy into it with Ben Affleck and Jennifer Lopez money, but she wound up in a neighborhood where Ben Affleck and Jennifer Lopez live, or somebody like Diane Keaton when she was still alive. You know, major league stars were living alongside. She had neighbors that were bicycle repairmen that had survived their parents, who were police officers. You know, they were rank and file, regular blue collar Americans who bought houses out there when they were affordable. And because of its proximity to places like Bel Air and Beverly Hills, they started to eventually get a large celebrity quotient that drove the home values to the moon. But it was inescapable that you were just driving around this incredibly nice suburb that was right there on the Pacific Ocean. And I will tell you, for as long as I've known Kennedy, me, Jenny, and Lincoln used to fly out there for the 4th of July, rent a car, and drive around. We couldn't afford to stay in the neighborhood based on a taxi budget or a writer's salary, but we could sure afford to go take it in. And I always told you, like, it was spiritual currency. You weren't actually financially, better off, but you were wealthier emotionally for having experienced it. So the mismanagement of it, it really is disgusting. And, I'm not telling you she should punch Gavin Newsom in the face because he looks like he'd like it, but I am telling you he's got to go.
The show that's standing up to big tech.
Get those nerds! Nerds! Nerds!
You're listening to Fox Across America.
You're listening to Fox Across America with Jimmy Failla. For these stories and a lot more, log on to newstalkflorida.com. News, information, and talk. News Talk 1040 WHBO.
You are the best thing on the radio!